Thank you, Boyza. You don't have to be Norwegian to understand Lawrence Welk, but apparently it helps. The other night, I had my trusty mug of coffee in one hand and the TV remote in the other, scanning the channels man-style for something to watch. You know what man-style channel surfing is like. Give each channel exactly 3 nanoseconds to prove itself worthy of a stop. Sad to say, partial nudity does play a part in the decision-making process. I took a few sips of strong, dark courage and eventually settled on the red-headed stepchild of the free broadcast world, PBS. In defense of public television, may I say how fun it would be to watch a show like Fear Factor have to beg for every nickel it needs, while the Antiques Roadshow gets $1 million per episode. But I digress. There on my screen stands band leader Lawrence Welk, fronting a band outfitted in what can only be described as early paint shop explosion wear. I understand that color television was a new and wondrous thing in Welk's day, but couldn't they have limited the clothing scheme to colors that exist in nature? I managed to catch some episodes from the early 60s, and I must say, the boys looked mighty sharp in their tailored, thin-lapelled suits with the Cuban boots. Then, all of a sudden, the spirit of good taste and restraint passed right over the studio door. The result was a collision between a Dayglow paint truck and a circus train. Even more disconcerting than the clothes were the performers themselves. I had no idea you could actually airbrush a live human being. Maybe it was the coffee talking, but I started to feel like I had tripped into the Stepford Wives comedy variety hour by mistake. All that was missing was a surprise appearance by the Pointer Sisters and the comedic stylings of Mr. David Brenner. You know, it's a funny thing about nostalgia. Dylan might have been onto something when he said, "What looks large from a distance, close up ain't never that big." But when it comes to the Lawrence Welk Show and all of its apparent corniness, perhaps it's we who have gotten smaller somehow. And a 1 and a 2.